the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. Minister.
Thank you very much for the invitation, dear colleagues, dear members of the European Parliament, dear friends of Europe. I would like first of all to mention a few words about the outcome of the Irish referendum. It was not bad news from Brussels, but it was a bad news for Brussels. And as we can see the situation now ongoing, I would be very glad if we have a future development, as Mr. Ren has mentioned, that when the time comes that the countries from the Balkans are prepared to enter the European Union, that the European Union will find a way how to resolve this crisis. But beside the fact that it is obvious that it was a decision for the Irish people, regardless what was the motivation or the biggest motivation, it seems to us that it is some people outside Ireland are happier than the Irish people for what happened on the Irish referendum. And I think that the biggest challenge for the European Union and for some politicians of the member countries of the EU is to try to find a way not to use this as a good excuse for stopping some processes of the European reforms and, of course, the processes of the EU enlargement. Therefore, the overcoming of the crisis after the Irish referendum will have an influence on the credibility of the European Union. As far as we know, the European Union is one car, one automobile, which has no option to go back. It goes only straight ahead. It could move with, let's say, a speeder pace or slower, but it goes straight ahead, and we believe that it will happen this time as well, that the European Union from its side will find the ways how to overcome this development. The EU credibility, at the same time, it's not only about the reforms of the European institutions, but the EU credibility is maintaining the commitments about the enlargement and maintaining the commitment about the candidate countries and the countries that are applying or waiting to become candidate countries. Here, speaking first of all about the countries that have started negotiations, like Turkey and Croatia, but also like countries that are preparing themselves to start negotiations, like Macedonia. So therefore, I think that Europe should really pay a bigger attention to the credibility among the citizens in the candidate countries, in order not to allow the internal developments to impact the positive and progressive way of integration of the countries to the European Union. And finally, EU has a moral and political responsibility to continue with the process of the integration and attracting the Balkan countries to get closer to the European Union and to become members one day they are prepared. But what is to be prepared to become member of the European Union? According to the definition, it's to be prepared and to fulfill the Copenhagen criteria. And Copenhagen criteria are exactly the criteria upon which the European success has been built up. So therefore, we should try all together to preserve the principles of Copenhagen criteria and to judge, to assess the progress of the candidate countries only through the prism of the fulfilling of the Copenhagen criteria. Macedonia knows that the Copenhagen criteria are not an easy task to be achieved, but we are not afraid of this challenge. Vice versa, Macedonia is motivated to continue with the reforms in order to achieve all Copenhagen criteria. What we are concerned as a small country, as a young nation, as a democracy that has emerged from the dissolution of Yugoslavia, is not to have an additional non-principal obligations, obstacles that will go beyond the Copenhagen criteria and that will obstruct the principles of the European Union. Because the credibility of the EU is respecting their own principles. So therefore, Macedonia believes that it will be the assessment when we speak about the European integration of Macedonia will go this way. In this respect, I would like to mention that we are concerned that one member of the European Union country is misusing bilateral issues, an imposed name issue, where Macedonia has been pressed for 15 years and more to give up its own right on national self-determination, this issue to be misused on our path toward the European integration. It's the case that could be misused as well by other EU countries to block or to obstruct the developments of the other candidate or potential candidate countries. So therefore, I think that we should really take care about that, the credibility of the European Union not to be taken hostage by some irresponsible behavior of certain politicians. However, for 2008, Macedonia has set for itself two primary goals, priorities. First of all is to have convincible results, reforms and achievement in order the European Commission to be able to recommend opening accession negotiations between the European Union and Macedonia. And second, to finish the process of reforms in respect of the visa-free priority in order the European Commission to be able to recommend a visa-free regime for Macedonia and I hope for some other countries in the region, which will be in effect a very tangible moment of the Europeanization of our societies. Thank you very much.